Good afternoon, and welcome to the 800 Credit Score Man Show. I'm your host, Kevin King. He is I, and I am him, the 800 Credit Score Man himself. And thank you, each and every one of you, for coming in and listening to the 800 Credit Score Man Show every Saturday, 1:30 Central Standard Time. I truly, truly appreciate it. So look, last week, I missed you guys. I missed you guys last week. Maybe you missed me as well. You were looking for the show. That's the reason that you need to go ahead and follow me on social media. So you can catch me on my Facebook page as 800 Credit Score Man. Instagram, same thing, 800 Credit Score Man. You can catch me on Twitter at Credit Score _Man on Twitter. I always follow you back on Twitter. No questions asked at all. So you can catch me in those places. I always inform the people what's going on with me, if there's going to be a show, what time the show is going to air, all that kind of thing. So follow me there. You can also please join my Facebook group, Credit Score Comeback. Yes, Credit Score Comeback, 4 words, all capital, if you're having the trouble trying to find that show. So, trying to find that page. So please get to that group and request to join, and I'll take a look at it, and we'll get you in that group. You can ask all kind of questions. Not only I answer questions there, but other people as well that have dealt with things that you may be dealing with. And oftentimes, some of the show topics actually come from that particular group. So we're having discussions all throughout the week. People are giving basically praise reports because they're getting their credit scores up. They're getting higher balances or higher limits on their credit cards and lower interest rates, things of that nature. So we share those things in that particular group. So join Credit Score Comeback on Facebook. Join that group. All right. So look. So since I missed you guys last week, why did I miss you last week? Because Carter, so you know at the end of every show, I shout out my 3 boys. And last week was Carter's birthday. So on Monday was Carter's birthday. And so we celebrated on Saturday. So big shout out to one of my heartbeats. That is Carter King. We had a huge birthday party for him. He is in the dinosaurs, can name every species of dinosaurs. Do not test him. I'm telling you, he can name every species of dinosaur. So he had a dinosaur party, and a good time was had by all. So happy birthday to son. Then I also want to shout out Jalen King. Yes, last name King, one of my relatives. He celebrated a birthday, 7 years old. He celebrated a birthday last week. So happy birthday to you, Jalen. And so let's jump into the show. What are we going to talk about today? So sometimes I have a show topic in mind. I certainly did for last week. I had already done my research and all that kind of stuff. So I usually do that. I do my due diligence during the week, and that's what we talk about on Saturdays. Saturdays, 1:30 Central Standard Time. Other times, I keep running into some of the same issues or getting the same questions. So I figure if these people have this issue or question, then others do as well. And that becomes the show's topic, or at least the question of the day. So you know how that kind of works out for us. So today, we're going to talk about something that has come up several times over the last few weeks. I got questions on Facebook about it. I got questions on IG about it. I got emails about it. I even got a text message about it. So we're going to talk about that today, and that's late payments. We're going to talk about late payments. How do they really affect your score? What can you do about them? And we're going to talk about some things to help you avoid getting those late payments placed on to your credit report in the first place. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is your late payments. How do we impact them? And what, if anything, can we do about them if they're already on your credit report? So if you don't know, and I'm sure you are aware of this because everybody is, because a lot of people think that paying on time gets you a good credit score. Like that's the only thing you need to do is to make sure that you pay on time. It's a very, very important thing to do, but it's not the only factor when it comes to your credit scores and your credit report. So they do hurt, and they hurt bad. So you can get docked, if you will. You can get docked or dinged 60, 70, sometimes 100 points for being late on something that hits your credit report. So you want to make sure that you don't do that in the first place. So after all, it is the highest factor. So it has the most weighting when it comes to calculating your score. 35% of your score is made up of how well you pay. Now, what's being late? What is really being late? So what's being late is if you're 30 days or more late when it comes to your credit report. So if you happen to be 5 days late, if you happen to be 15 days late, it's not necessarily going to hit your credit report and reflect there. Of course, with whatever account or creditor you have, it'll show there. You may get hit with that late fee or what have you, but it will not impact your credit score unless you're 30 days late for the most part and most of the time, because I want to bring this up to you. What if your payment is actually due on the first of the month? It's due on the first of the month. You didn't make that payment on the first of the month, but this is February the 1st. Now, February only has 28 days in it. So if your payment is on February the 1st, you don't make that payment until, say, March the 1st, technically you're not 30 days late. But I can almost guarantee you, maybe 95% of the time, it's going to record that you're 30 days late because it's been a month and you have another payment due. So that's the catch-22 that you could find yourself in if that happens to you. So it is important, extremely important, for you to go ahead and make those payments and make those payments on time. And this is another thing. So a lot of people that are listening to the show are not just people that don't have good credit and they want to improve their credit scores. A lot of people listen to the show that actually already have good credit. They want to see how they can maintain that good credit or even increase whatever their score is. So people with very good credit scores, it hurts them more if they have a late payment than it does someone else. For example, so if you have a 780 credit score and you have a late payment, you're going to get docked more points than a person that has a 680, or the person that has a 580. You're going to get docked more points because you have a higher credit score. So, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. That kind of happens with credit scores as well. I know it's unfair. Doesn't make any sense. It should be basically standard, right? It should be standard. If you got a 30-day late, then you should get docked 30 points across the board. Doesn't matter if you got a 580 or a 780. That's what it should be, at least in my mind, and then probably in most of our minds, that's what it should be. But unfortunately, that's not the way that it rolls. It does depend on other different factors of which I don't even know, but you can get docked more points depending on what kind of account it is sometimes, and then also if you have a higher credit score. So even though you have a low credit score, don't just blow it off that you're going to be 30 days late and say, it's probably only going to impact me, 30 points or what have you. That makes a big difference, a huge difference, especially when you've been working so hard trying to keep your credit up and keep things going in the right direction. You don't want to be late. So make sure that you do that. So like I said, you can be docked 60, 70, maybe even 100 points sometimes if you're late. So don't be 30 days late. And another thing you should absolutely know is that if you are late, your late payment is going to stay on your credit report for 7 years. Now, that seems like a big penalty to pay for being late one time, or maybe even 2 times, or maybe even 3 times. That's a big penalty to pay, but it is going to stay on your credit report for 7 years, showing that you are late. Now, here's where time is on your side. So time is on your side because the further you get away from being late, you were late 2.5 years ago, it's not impacting your score as much or as it did, the month after you were actually 30 days late. So now it's only impacting your score a little bit. The further and further you get away, same thing with pretty much any negative on your credit report. The bankruptcies, they don't impact you that much year 6 after bankruptcy as they did in year 1 and year 2. Same thing with payments, but they do stay on your credit report for 7 years. Now, let's get to this. Let's get to what to do if you do have late payments already on your credit report. What should you do? Before I answer that question, let me throw a couple more shout outs out there. I got to shout out Blake Owens and Crystal Nance. Yes, Blake put a ring on it. They were engaged last week, so congratulations to you two, Blake and Crystal. Congratulations on your engagement. I got to give a happy birthday shout out to Jeremy Swift. Sometime he goes by King Swiss. Yes, happy birthday to you, Brother Swift. And then I got to give a shout out as well to Kalana Mack. Miss AKA herself, she celebrated her birthday as well. And Lee Wiley, he celebrated his birthday, one of my frat brothers. So happy birthday to you, Lee Wiley, as well. So let's get to this question, right? Okay, what to do if you have late payments? Well, the first thing you should do, if you notice that you're late, the very first thing that you should do, as soon as you discover that you missed that payment, pay it. Go ahead and pay it. Pay it right away. As soon as you realize that you missed it. So it could be, just 5 days later. It could be 10 days later, whatever it is. As soon as you discover that you made that you missed that payment, then you should go ahead and make the payment. Do not wait for your next bill. Almost like that example I just gave about February and it being a catch-22. Don't wait till your next bill, because you could get caught where it'll show that you're late, and then maybe it'll show that you're late again. It might not show on your credit report that you're 60 days late because you actually made a payment, but it could show that you're another 30 days late 2 months in a row. So make sure you just go ahead and make that payment right then. As an aside, if you do find yourself late, you just discovered it or what have you, pick up the phone and call your creditor. Call your creditor and make the payment over the phone. So if you do it over the phone instead of mailing that check in the mail or however you typically make your payment, pick up the phone, give them a call, and make that payment there. Talk to a live person. Don't do the automated thing. Talk to a live person. If you are late on a bill and it comes with a late fee, if you talk to them on the phone, it's possible that you can get that late fee removed or revoked or however they want to call it. So if you give them a call, let's say you have a credit card and you're calling and you're late, you're just a few days late. I don't care, even if you're 20 days late, and you give them a call and they've already assessed that $35 late payment or $45 late payment. And if you have one of these credit cards that come from a lower tier credit place that pretty much will approve anybody, their late fees are even higher. So if you have one of those cards, pick up the phone, give them a call and say, hey, I want to make this payment. Can you waive the late fee for me? Can you waive the late fee? If this is your first time or you haven't been late in a long time or what have you, they may just do that. You just saved yourself $35. So for that tip, if you do it and it actually works, then PayPal me $5 because I just gave you that info. So make sure that you do that. As soon as you discover that you have missed that payment, then go ahead and pay it. Do not wait for the next bill to make that payment. Now, what else can you do if you have late payments? So now that you're listening and you're late and it's on your report and it's been on your report, say for 6 months or so, or you were late 6 months ago, here's what you do. All you have to do is you either call or you can write your creditor and ask them to forgive the late payment. Now, you're not asking this time. You're not asking for the refund on the late fee and all that stuff. You're just simply asking them to remove that late mark from your credit report. That's what you want to do. You want to ask them to do that. Now, you can call them and you can do this if you feel comfortable doing so. Some people are not that comfortable with talking to them, but you can also write them. This is typically known as a goodwill letter. Yes, goodwill, just like the place you go and, you donate your clothes. It's called a goodwill letter. You're asking the creditor for some goodwill for you. Yes, you made a mistake. It was your problem, your fault, my bad. But you're going to ask them to show some goodwill because you've been a good customer before. And it's been 6 months and you haven't been late since then. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to give them a call or you can write them a letter. Now, when it comes to goodwill letters, you can Google and you can get all kinds of examples. Do not pay anybody for a goodwill letter. Don't pay anybody on the internet for an example of a goodwill letter. That's just my little piece of advice to you. You can figure this out on your own. Trust me, it does not have to be extensive. It doesn't have to be 4 paragraphs long. You don't have to explain your entire life and all of those things. But you can call and just say, hey, I'm asking for some goodwill on your part. Now, here's what you want to do or what you want to point out when you're on a call or in your letter. Point out how much you value your credit. Let them know, hey, I'm serious about my credit. This was simply a mistake or something I couldn't avoid, but I'm serious about my credit, and I don't want this one little ding to stop me from getting a house down the line, getting my car down the line, or getting a better interest rate. So you want to point out how much you do value your credit. Secondly, you want to point out that you've had a good payment record with them before this mistake happened.